One of the things that we know is that the number of reported incidents of sexual assault is far lower than the actual incidents of sexual assault.
I certainly know people who've been sexually assaulted.
It's a bigger issue than one rape crisis.
There were a lot of misperceptions at that time, which was, in the 70s, that rape was something that happened to women because it was something that they did wrong.
There really was a need for an agency that would be concerned with sexual assault.
That it would not only be a hotline, it would not only be a crisis thing, but it would be an educational group that could teach the community how we should approach this problem and how to prevent it.
I think a lot of people want to know what to do, but just don't have the tools. So I think that's a really big role for us.
We want to make Sara an even more acceptable place for women to come and get help.
This is a place where you come and you can get help and solace for what's happened to you.
"30 years in the life of a nonprofit is really quite significant, and it's important to look back and see where we've come from.
Sexual assault still had a very, it was a very controversial subject.
30 years ago, it was really taboo to even bring it up.
If someone came in that was sexually assaulted, they were adopting what was the climate, the perception of the time, so it must have been something I did.
It was a very interesting time for law enforcement because most of the police departments in this area, in the Sheriff's Department, didn't have any female officers.
There was tremendous need of a resource for victims of rape.
We finished college, moved to Charlottesville, and were ready to volunteer in the organization in Charlottesville, and lo and behold, there was no organization in Charlottesville.
At first we had no funding and just did it as a volunteer, and a lot of people volunteered. It was great.
We would just meet in people's homes sometimes.
And so the first thing to do was to make up a schedule so that you could have a hotline that people could call.
You would usually get at least, 3 or 4 nights that you were on call.
At that time there were no cell phones, so you had to commit to being at home.
When you made a commitment to do your 12 hours, you gave up whatever anybody else was doing. So there was no, oh, the group's gonna go out and have pizza, I'll go with them. Nope.
I mean, I think people were starting to realize that something needed to be done.
What our role was to support the woman, the victim. And we looked at it from a lot of different angles.
Everybody just really got involved in it, and at that point in time we were so small that everybody had to do something, and everybody did do something.
When I think of where we were in 1986, and I think of where it's come, it's like everybody knows who Sara is. And that took a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication on the part of a lot of people. But I think it's amazing.
Because over time we've brought sexual assault into the mainstream of the discussion of public health.
It's so exciting to see what Sara's doing today, and how what started as a very grassroots, how can we help some women, to an organization that has such a public face and is making such a difference in the community.
I mean, it's nice to have been part of something that has been so enduring.
Look at the difference and look how far we've come and look how many lives we've helped. And again, to look at the women who were there when it was hard and started this organization, I'm just so proud of what we're doing.
It's amazing to be able to meet those people and look in them in the eye and say, thank you so much for the time and effort you spent, because now I get to do what I believe in.
I have always, most of my life, wanted to make a difference.
To be able to see them at the beginning of their process and work with them through a majority of their process and their hope and healing, and help them by empowering them and providing them support is probably the most rewarding thing about this job.
We have 33 volunteers. About half of them do the hotline, half of them do the outreach work.
Counseling or therapy to children, adolescents, and adults who are impacted by sexual violence. And we also provide support services to secondary survivors, which are the parents, friends, partners of those who are impacted by sexual violence.
Sara has a remarkable staff. I've never seen a group of young women so motivated and so willing to go the extra mile and so committed to the cause.
It's the first time in my life that I can say I wake up in the morning and I am excited about going and being part of something much bigger than I am.
The number of programs that we offer are huge. The public awareness of Sara now is so different.
I think that the agencies today are so much better for having a resource like Sara.
My charge when I was hired was to grow the agency. And the only way to do that, the only way I thought we could do that, would be to educate the people and let them know what sexual assault really is. And of course, at the same time, you have to be helping survivors, because that's why you're there. So that was the primary focus. And then, of course, as a subset of that is getting the public on board.
I think public and individual donations are more critical than ever before, because that allows the agency to develop the programs that the community needs.
I mean, we started very small. We started with Charlottesville, and then we branched out into Albemarle, and we're trying to branch out in the university, but that it has become a regional organization, and that this community needs to continue to support it and allow it to grow as it needs to grow.
Everything counts, and it doesn't matter how small or large. Everything helps. Everything.
$25, every bit helps. Particularly at a time when things are tight, just having the flexibility, and $25, no amount is too small.
Getting support from the community members that we serve, it's really, really important, so that we can just continue to buy office paper and get people trained and up to date with everything that we need to be able to do.
Well, first off, contributions from the community remind us that we are part of the community and that we have community support. Number one, that feels good. But number two, and even more important, the more financial support we have, the more services we can provide.